The two countries had seemed to be making progress on lowering tariffs and settling disputes over intellectual property. But last weekend, China suddenly called for big changes to the working document. That's when Trump threatened to raise existing tariffs from 10% to 25% and impose new ones on another $325 billion worth of products. Trump says the U.S. can't lose, but Keith Bogue tells us who really pays for those tariffs.
They broke the deal.
Donald Trump says he thought he had a deal with China, but they broke it, leading to this week's showdown. That part might be true. This part is definitely not true.
They'll be paying if we don't make the deal. Nothing wrong with taking in over $100 billion a year.
The $100 billion a year doesn't relate to anything and appears to be made up. Total U.S. customs revenue from China and the entire rest of the world last fiscal year were only about $41 billion. This year, they're expected to rise to $74 billion, largely due to the trade war. But the Chinese don't pay those duties anyway. U.S. consumers and businesses pay them. And none of that takes into account the damage done to U.S. businesses when China strikes back with tariffs on things like soybeans. The government set aside $12 billion to offset those costs, and again, it's U.S. taxpayers who are picking up that tab. A study by the Center for Economic Policy Research published in March concluded that the duties were almost completely passed through into U.S. domestic prices. And on top of that, those duties made the economy less efficient, costing $1.4 billion a month. This is not just a U.S. problem, as the IMF emphasized today.
Everybody loses in a protracted trade conflict. If trade is damaged, then it threatens growth.
In other words, Ian, nobody wins a trade war. But Donald Trump doesn't believe that. He said that the U.S. will win big in this trade war and that winning will be easy.
So, Keith, tell us what's behind the president's perspective on trade.
Well, it seems that before the tariffs were imposed last year, Trump's economic team told him that even though U.S. consumers would nominally pay the tariffs, China's exporters would effectively pay them, largely by lowering their prices. That was the theory that allowed Trump to claim that China was paying for the cost of the trade war. But the theory apparently doesn't hold water. A year later, the data seems to show the Trump administration was just wrong. But now it's doubling down on its trade strategy. More than doubling down, actually.
All right, Keith, thank you.
Thanks, Ian.